Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another technical summary video presented by me, Letty Jansen-Van. The document that we are focusing on today is the document issued by the PPRA, which is the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, the old Estate Agency Affairs Board, and it deals with frequently asked questions on compliance. So let's go and have a look what this document is all about. We're going to start off with why it's important, going through a bit of an introduction, overviewing the publication, and then lastly looking at the contents of what's inside. But we are then going into the source documents. I'll give you the link and you'll see the story in pictures. Here is we are dealing with frequently asked questions issued by the PPRA, as you can see. So let's go and have a look. So there are some of the abbreviations that I've used. I've already told you what the PPRA is. A PP is a property practitioner. PPA, Property Practitioners Act. FAQ is frequently asked questions. And where you see me using TA, that's just the word for trust account. All right. Then we've got why this is important. Obviously, the Property Practitioners Act is a piece of legislation that your clients need to comply with. So you need to go and assess. If they do not comply with it, then certain reporting obligations in terms of NOCLAR, in terms of our code of conduct, will start kicking in, and that is then non-compliance with laws and regulations. Now, depending on the severity of the non-compliance, you would then either just report it to management, or it could even mean that you need to qualify your audit opinion or reporting an RI to either IRBA or to SIPC, depending on what you need to report on. But in general, as a practitioner, you need to be able to be aware of guidance that is published by regulators that operate or that where your clients operate within their field. So in terms of property practitioners, you need to worry about guidance that is issued by the PPRA. And these frequently asked questions is definitely one of those documents. So yes, property practitioners must also be aware, and they must be aware of all the latest changes as well that affect them. As part of the introduction, remember that the Property Practitioners Act requires that an audit report be submitted. Contraventions are reported by the auditor in terms of Section 54 of the Property Practitioners Act. Section 54(1)(a) says that if there's a trust bank account, that needs to be audited. All right. The other type of trust account that you get is a trust savings account. Right, so the Property Practitioners Act will tell us specifically when there is an audit required, and then the contraventions are reported by the auditor. The auditor and or the practitioner would then need to submit the late audit report. If it is late, then they need to submit it and then pay the fine as well. We know that all of these reports are due before the end of August every year or within 6 months from their financial year end. If there are any incorrect audit reports, they can be resubmitted. So what I found what a lot of auditors do when they are under pressure, they just submit any old audit report, and then they can prove that they submitted it before midnight on the 31st, and they can then go and resubmit afterwards without there being fines and everything. Because if it's late, it's late. The fine will not be reversed. So yes, the audit report then needs to come on time, otherwise there will be penalties. And the property practitioners need to liaise with their auditors, all right? Because the auditors, 9 out of the 10 times, the property practitioners are not the one that really submit this. The auditor goes online into the My Auditor portal, and they go onto the portal on the PPRA website, and they then submit the audit report of the property practitioners. But they need to liaise with the auditors, and the auditors need to let them know specifically if there are any errors that were found. The auditors also need to speak to the clients and say to them, listen, these are the audits, these are the errors that we found, this is the report that was submitted, so you can look forward to receiving a compliance notice or something from the PPRA based on this contravention or based on this error or something. So auditors, practitioners, we need to lay our cards on the table and say, this is what we submitted, so that it's not a shock when the document gets to them to say, okay, this is now something that you got, a compliance notice, here's how you need to respond to it. Or your audit report was late, please pay the fine. Right, so that is very, very important. Open communication. Um, and I mean, once, what are they going to do when they get their compliance notices anyway? Is the client contact you as the auditor and they say, I just got this from the PPRA, what now? Right, so this is of particular reference to what? The audit of trust accounts specifically. So obviously the audit of trust accounts being the all-important factor here and the audit report. So let's look at this document because these are frequently asked questions that the PPRA received in response to compliance notices that they issued. So they issued this document in August this year and they cover basically 14 areas of compliance. It's not really a question as such to say, what is this? And there's the answer. But they do discuss something in general. So a compliance area would be discussed. Right, so the document itself is only 3 pages long, but it contains, like I said, the 14 areas of compliance. And it says compliance notices, frequently asked questions, and it just discusses some of the issues that they had to discuss over the phone. Now, their compliance department is quite jacked, so if you ever need anything from them and you phone them, they're very helpful. All right, I found that. So the table of contents, the 14 FAQ areas, here's the first 7. The first one deals with what to do when there's non-submission of an audit report. Well, it's easy, isn't it? If you haven't submitted your audit report, then submit it. That's it. If there's contravention of section 54, in other words, like there's a trust account and it wasn't audited at all, there's an issue. Number 3 deals with regards to the compliance notice for the mandatory disclosure form. That's what must be disclosed. Number 4 says, I'm in receipt of a compliance notice and an invoice for payment. Can I have the fine reduced, please? So I was late. I submitted my audit report late. I didn't give all the information to my auditor. They submitted late, but I've now got the compliance notice and I've got the invoice. Can I please have the fine reduced? And this is where they said no ways. No ways, the late fine stays. You need to pay that. All right. What does the PPRA do with representations put forward by the property practitioners? Well, they will use that as evidence. Right, because they are asking a question and there will then be certain representation put forward by the PPs. The next deals with a scenario. After the property practitioner has acknowledged that they have not submitted the audit report on time, can the audit report be submitted and the fine be reversed? It's the same as number 1. Number 1 is just where it wasn't submitted. This one is now where it wasn't submitted on time. So it's a little bit different and they want to know, can they still submit it and the fine still be reversed? The question is, well, you know what? Submit the audit report, yes, but the fine cannot be reversed. Number 7 talks about a PP who acknowledges that the audit report was submitted on time and they've got evidence of this. Can they now get the fine reversed? So they've got evidence that they submitted it on time. I've had this with one of my clients who, when I had estate agents as clients, where I literally went and I had to go and screenshot whenever I click on submit, and I've got proof that I submitted it on the website online before midnight on the 31st. And sometimes if it gets so busy, then it literally is submitted like 8 seconds after midnight. So those ones, I'm pretty sure they will still deal with. Okay. So depending on the evidence that you've got, if you've got evidence or proof that you submitted on time, then the property practitioner can actually apply to have that fine reversed. Once the PP signs off as the acknowledgement of debt, will they be able to trade again? And the answer is yes, they will. Okay, so there's an acknowledgement of debt. If it's not paid, they will not be able to trade. Correspondences in regards to compliance notices, who does that go to? How does the correspondence work? In terms of the invoices that are received by the property practitioners, who do they liaise with there? What can they talk about and who do they speak to there? If a property practitioner has ceased trading during the year, why was the compliance notice and invoice then issued? Remember, if the property practitioner ceased trading and they didn't inform the PPRA, how must the PPRA smell that they stopped trading? So if they inform the PPRA that they stop trading, then no compliance notice will be issued because they will not be expected to submit an audit report. Which banking details must they use to pay the compliance notice, fine and penalties? And I think it's the net bank details that they give them there. Where a mistake was done by the auditor when submitting the audit report, what is the process for rectifying? Is there a way of reversing the contravention? There isn't really a way of reversing the contravention, but it can be resubmitted, right? Obviously, with a whole explanation of why the errors were made, why the mistake was made by the auditor when submitting the audit report. Okay, so the whole process is set out there. And then the last one says the property practitioner does not have control over what the auditor submits, as well as the errors in the audit report. And they do say, and that's where they specifically say, as the property practitioner, you can't just say, well, you know what, this is my auditor does this. They need to liaise with the auditor so that they know this is what was submitted and these are the errors that were reported. So there's absolutely no excuse. There's no such thing as washing your hands to say, not my problem anymore. It's the auditors did this. No blame shifting allowed. Right. And those are the 14 areas that are discussed. So I think it's worth your while. If you have any estate agents or any property practitioners as such as clients, please work your way through those questions. There's the link to the actual documents on the PPRA website. If you click on it, it'll download it for you. If you have any further questions or you still need more detail, we do have our technical alerts that are published daily. You can follow SA Accounting Academy on LinkedIn. I do the contents of the daily alerts, and they then get published either on LinkedIn or also on the SAAA website under the news section. The SAAA YouTube channel you can go and follow, and there's a whole whack of information there. The other TSVs that I did, like this one, technical summary videos, about 190 odd of them are also available on the YouTube channel. Webinars on demand, and as well as other technical summary videos, there are a host of ones that are applicable to the PPRA or as a result of the PPRA or that apply to property practitioners. So please go and have a look at that and see if you need to obtain those. Right. And then last but not least, we've got our MCLU subscription. This is how you stay up to date with all the changes in the various fields. Okay, it's our 2-hour powerhouse session every month on the latest updates in our fields. And that then, ladies and gentlemen, is it from my side. Thank you very much for joining me on this little power nutshell through the frequently asked questions on compliance notices that were issued by the PPRA. Thank you from me, Letty Jansen van Vuren. Enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye.